You're gonna have to zoom in a little bit closely to what I'm wearing to hear what I'm actually about to talk about in this part of the video. So if you have a look at this top of mine, you can actually, if I sort of, didn't have anything underneath, you'd actually be able to see a lot of things that you shouldn't be seeing in this type of video. And the name that you would really call this type of clothing or this type of material in very common English terms would be see-through. Now, this video is not suddenly turned into a fashion video of any stuff, and that's not even something that I'm good at or knowledgeable about. But this actually segues really well into the concept that we're going to be covering over the next couple of videos. So stay tuned for the rest of the video to see what I'm on about. Welcome back everybody to my channel, or welcome for the first time if you're joining in. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shweta and I am the founder and lead coach of Healthy Dynamics. We are a coaching practice that helps non-English speaking healthcare professionals who work in clinical capacities, or in other words, they work closely with patients, improve their communication and English language skills in order to become excellent at their jobs as healthcare professionals, and most of all, to build positive, better, and supportive relationships with their patients that is based on trust and credibility. So apologies for the inconsistency in the videos that have gone out in recent times. I'm just doing a little bit of restructuring of the people who are working under me in my admin and VA team to see who's the best fit. So, and editing is something that I'm just not a fan of. So that's why I'm trying to find the right person who can actually edit these videos on a regular basis and also really work in this business in that capacity to really make sure that it's more visible and support the brand and just make it distributed to the right places. So that will really not be the case moving forward. I will be posting out videos. My last video of this year will be on the 20th of December, and we'll start all over again after the holiday period in early January, and we'll be looking at many more topics in the communication space and the healthcare space and the English language space, so all nicely coming together. So if you do want to stay up to date on all the videos that I post, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell, and most importantly, if you do like this video, make sure that you also leave it a big like so that it reaches out to the people who can get most value out of this experience. So, all right, so one of my past LinkedIn posts, which I will link over here, really talked about this concept of see-through. So see-through is obviously, that's the easiest way of talking about an item of clothing. However, what I really was referring to at that point is the concept of transparency. Now, transparency in a place like this, when you're talking about clothing material, actually means that it's literally transparent. You can actually see through everything. However, when it comes to the healthcare space as well as the communication space, it takes on a different meaning. So transparency really falls under the big umbrella of openness, honesty, and authenticity. So these are three words that I talk about a lot on this channel and on my content as well. But transparency is one of the different elements that actually ties all of them together. So in very simple terms, transparency is you're avoiding any smoke and mirrors. That's a very famous English language phrase or like an idiom. So smoke and mirrors basically means that you are sort of hiding things from people. You're keeping them in the dark. You're showing them something or telling them something different to what they need to hear. So transparency is the exact opposite of that. So it's basically no smoke and mirrors, and it's complete openness, honesty, and authenticity. Now, just to give an example, I'll use two examples to explain transparency a little bit better. One will be a healthcare related one, and one will be a non-healthcare related one. So let's start off with a non-healthcare related one. When I was dating, or when I started dating my current partner, who I've been with for the past 4 years, one of the very first things that I was extremely transparent about when I first connected with him was the fact that I was a child-free woman. So I never wanted to have children, and also I'm never going to change my mind on the topic. So I did not go into the relationship and 4 or 5 years later, then I dropped the bomb on him and say, oh, actually, I never wanted children. So, is that okay with you? So that way he knew what he was getting himself into. I was completely honest. I was completely open. There was nothing hidden, and there was nothing that he had to guess or really assume or anything like that. I was very forthcoming, direct, straightforward, and open with him about the fact that I wanted to be a child-free woman for the rest of my life. Similarly, he was equally transparent with me when describing his health condition. So he has what's called Klinefelter syndrome. So basically, in very simple terms, he has an extra X chromosome than a normal man would, a man who doesn't have Klinefelter syndrome would. So, which actually, in a very good way, it actually makes him infertile. So he cannot have kids anyway, which works out perfectly for us. And that's one of the many reasons why we're still together. So in that instance, both of us, both parties involved, have been completely open, transparent, and given the other person a clearer picture of what they're getting themselves into, so that there is no guesswork, there's no assumptions, or there's no mind games, or, I was not informed of this or something like that. Now, let's look at a healthcare example. Now, in the healthcare space, when, say, you're going to a pharmacy or a chemist and you're buying some sort of medication, if you turn around to the back side of the medication, you will generally have a lot of the side effects of medication. So side effects are like things that can happen to you when you take some sort of medication. So for example, I'm on an anxiety tablet right now, and when I was prescribed that tablet and I do go and pick it up from the pharmacy, it mentions that the side effects of that is that you're going to have high blood pressure. So which is why I'm also on a blood pressure tablet. So just to sort of counter all of that out. And similarly, for some people, like they might go and say they might be they might take some sort of a paracetamol medication, and there will be some side effects that may be completely unrelated to the symptoms of whatever they are experiencing. This again demonstrates the fact that there is openness, transparency, nothing is hidden, nothing is not sort of talked about, nothing is mentioned beforehand as like caveats and things like that, just so that everyone is aware of what they're getting themselves into. So in very simple terms, these two examples really illustrate really well what transparency actually is. Now, why is transparency important? There are 3 to 4 major reasons why transparency is not only important but really vital in the healthcare space, whether you're speaking to your patients or whether you're just doing day-to-day non-clinical work in the healthcare space. But because this channel does talk about healthcare professionals who work with patients, we're just going to stick to that. So let's get into some of the reasons why transparency is vital in the healthcare space. Number 1, because of legal and ethical implications. Now, being very open and honest and forthcoming about and fully disclosing, full disclosure is a big thing. So fully disclosing what a medical procedure or a treatment or a medication can actually do to the patient is very, very important. So that way, the patient knows what they might experience after the procedure has been completed or after the treatment has been done or the medication has been given, and they're not in for any sort of rude surprises or rude awakenings after that. And if they don't disclose that in the beginning, the healthcare provider can actually get into a lot of legal trouble. So the patient can actually take legal action against the healthcare provider, particularly if the symptoms have been particularly hard for them to get used to after undergoing all that process, and they've just felt like they were just completely in the dark about it. So that is the main reason. The number 2 reason is that there is the whole concept of full disclosure. So even before something starts, you actually inform patients well ahead of time what they can expect. So say, for example, if you're, say, a cancer patient and your oncologist is suggesting a certain type of treatment for you, they will, by law, have to explain what the likely side effects of the treatment is. So whether it's chemotherapy, radiation, anything like that. So chemotherapy, obviously the side effect is that you lose your hair. Radiation, you might have like a little fuzzy feeling in your tongue and you may not be able to taste anything. Your energy levels might be up and down, whole host of different things. But the difference is that whoever is providing that healthcare service to the patient needs to fully inform them of what the entirety of this process or this treatment or medication is going to involve. By the same turn, if, say, you are a surgeon and you have to perform a type of surgery on a patient, so whether it can be things like a hysterectomy, for example, you're an OBGYN and you want to perform a hysterectomy, even though this is very obvious, you have to be able to tell the patient that this will actually involve the patient's uterus being completely removed, and as a result of that they will never be able to naturally conceive children. Same story with, say, a vasectomy or something like that. So yeah, so even when you're performing a surgery, you have to tell them exactly what the after effects are going to be, and obviously the side effects of what they might experience while they're recovering from their surgery. The other really important concept with transparency is that it really helps build that credibility and trust with your patients as a healthcare professional. So, as I mentioned in some of my previous videos, patients actually like healthcare professionals who take full responsibility, who hold themselves accountable, who mean what they say and say what they mean, who admit their mistakes freely, who are open to learning new things, and also is also willing to embrace anything new and also be completely open and honest about where they have gone wrong, or where they may have made mistakes in the past, or even with their current patient. So that openness actually really builds a good level of trust and credibility with the patient, because at the end of the day, they want someone who's human just like them. So not someone who is so-called professional in the traditional sense, but is far from a human. So that's really what the patient would be looking for in order for them to really trust and really put their faith in somebody when they know that this person is a human more than anybody. So this video pretty much summarizes why transparency is important and why, as healthcare professionals, we need to absolutely implement that vitally at every single point when we're interacting with our patients. Next video, we will look at how we can actually incorporate transparency in our interactions with patients. So I'll go through a bunch of strategies that I have experienced and I've done in my role as a healthcare professional, as well as experienced myself as a patient and just with my knowledge. So hope you found this video useful. As I mentioned previously, please leave it a like and a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave your comments in the comment section below. I would love to see more engagement and feedback on my videos, and also make sure that you subscribe and notify yourself to when the next series of videos will be available. So I will see you guys same time next week. Please stay tuned, and thank you so much for your attention and time. Thank you.